Hello, my name is Ashlyn Lowenstein, and I'll be talking about Cary Grant. So, in Bristol, England, he was born in 1904 as actually Archie Leach. So, his name would be changed to Cary Grant by Paramount Pictures when he started working for them later, but until then, he's known as Archie. So Archie had a brother named John, and he had his mom and his dad for a while. His dad worked in a factory, but then when he was 9 years old, he had to uh, work through the traumatic disappearance of his mom. He didn't really know what was going on. Um, He was told that she just left for some seaside resort, but then she never returned, and so that's really hard for a little kid to deal with, um, and he, dealt with some feelings of abandonment, and then it wasn't until he was in his 20s when he learned that she didn't just leave, she was actually placed into a mental institution. So, this is just one example of some of the things that he had to really struggle through during his childhood. It was really hard. Um, there are other examples of things that he had to deal with, uh, but that's just one example of something that leads to his path towards acting. So when he was 13, he left home for the first time. And then he did again at age 14. He left home and school and ran away to join Bob Pender's troupe of knockabout comedians. So this is where Cary Grant learned acrobatics, pantomime, and the comedy that he is known and loved for now. Um, and then in 1920, he left England with this troupe to perform in the United States and continue his acting experience there. Um, and then while he was in the United States, his first starring role in a film was in She Done Him Wrong in 1933. So there were so many people who were attracted to Cary Grant and the kind of character that he played in these different films. He was usually cast as the handsome bachelor. So his looks were really important for the role as well as to him. He made sure to have a consistent suntan, um, so that he always looked healthy, and then he didn't have to deal with makeup on set. And so women were really drawn to Grant's looks. Um, and then we found men were trying to match his attire and his character so that they could become someone that the women were attracted to as well. Um, so Grant always played characters that were younger than him, which connects to his desire to be healthy and look young. Um, And he also had a transatlantic accent, which a lot of people were attracted to. And so he was just this overall really attractive man. Um, and then this also was the case for his coworkers. So the actresses that he was working with in these films were also really attracted to him and reported really enjoying working with him and almost being in a relationship with him in these films. And um, so just all around great guy to be with or admire. Um, yeah. And so his strong acrobatic training allowed him to perform his own stunts, which is really helpful. And then with his background from when he was younger, Grant was great at comedic timing. And this is included in one of the main things that he was most known and loved for. Uh, Cary Grant, interestingly, was one of Alfred Hitchcock's uh, most favorite actors to work with, which is really cool to be able to say. And um, obviously, if Alfred Hitchcock wants to work with you, all of these other directors are going to want to work with you too. So, yeah, that's pretty cool for Cary Grant. He was also really dedicated to his job and did all that he could to perform his best in each film, whether that was his physical attraction or his actual acting. Um, he wanted it to be great. And then even after he retired in 1966, he was still involved in the film world, um, which shows his true commitment that he's always had. Uh, After Grant retired, he became a representative for a cosmetic company called Fabergé, and he also sat on the board of Metro Goldwyn Mayer Films, or MGM. So for his weakness, um, Cary Grant's performances were thought of as very highly, so not a lot of people wanted to admit to that he had weaknesses, or talk about them. Um, but he does have some things that were holding him back. So he has only been seen as the handsome hero, like I mentioned earlier. Uh, he would turn down roles that would portray him as a villain or would be too old for his liking, like older than him or around his own age. He always wanted to be someone who was younger. So this really limited his um, options for jobs and um, and just limited his ability to show all of his skills, because you could only see it in one specific area that he was going for. Um, Cary Grant also experienced a lot of difficult things in his life off camera that affected his job on camera, such as like family drama, marital and relationship problems, and some drug use. Um, so getting into those a little bit, Cary Grant was married 5 times and he was divorced 4 times. So his first wife was an actress named Virginia Sherrill, uh, and so that marriage lasted a year. And then after that, he was married to a philanthropist and someone who came from a really rich family, um, Barbara Hutton. They were married for 2 years. His longest marriage was his third with Betsy Drake. They were married for 13 years. Then the fourth marriage was with another actress, Diane Cannon. She was actually 33 years younger than he was, and it was with her that he was able to have his only child, Jennifer. And then for his fifth marriage, he was married to Barbara Harris, who was 47 years younger than he was, and um, they were married until his passing. So that was about 5 years. Um, but then in between these marriages, Cary Grant also had many um, affairs and relationships that lots of people knew of just because of how famous and well known he was. Um, so one of those includes Sophia Loren, who is in this picture with him on this slide. And there were also rumors about him being homosexual. However, that was never confirmed or proven, but it was a really big deal considering the uh, time frame that we're in during um, his like active years of filming. Um, and so it was a really big deal. And then Cary Grant also experimented with LSD therapy to an attempt to suppress his um, traumatic experiences that he had in his childhood. So that's his relationship with drugs, unfortunately. So here, I listed the films that Cary Grant starred in that were nominated for Oscar Best Picture awards. Um, and then so that's the first one, and then the other four are um, some of the nominations that he had for different awards for his own personal acting. Unfortunately, he didn't end up winning any of these, um, but he was obviously nominated a lot of times, so just shows how talented he is uh, for getting even this much recognition. But on this slide, I included some of the awards that he did win. So he never did get an Oscar, but he in 1970 he did get the Academy Honorary Award, which is honoring him for his great lifelong work, um, which he deserved it. Seeing what he was able to do. Um, and then the Kennedy Center honors is um, pretty much the same thing, uh, same purpose of honoring him for all of the work that he's done his whole life. And then I just included some examples of the great films that he was in, but this barely scratches the surface. Um, so Cary Grant retired from acting in 1966. He could have kept acting into an older age if he wanted to. He was relatively healthy enough to do so, but he just didn't want to, so he stopped. Um, but past his active years, people kept talking about him all the time. He had actors coming up to him throughout his whole life, begging him to come be a part of their productions and go back into film and start acting again. Um, so he was really sought after for his talent that he had. Um, and he influenced a lot of younger actors. A lot of people looked up to him. And then he also influenced the creation of different characters in movies. So an example of this is in the first James Bond movie, Doctor No. Um, Cary Grant influenced who James Bond would become to be and how Sean Connery would end up playing him in 1962. Um, and then in 1984, um, the there was a theater in the lot of Metro Goldwyn Mayer, Mayer, um, and that theater was renamed to the Cary Grant Theater, in his honor. And then it was in 1986 that Cary Grant passed away from a stroke. He was 82. Um, but obviously that's not where his legacy ends, because in 1999, the American Film Institute named Cary Grant as the second male star of the golden age of Hollywood cinema after Humphrey Bogart. So Bogart was the number one, the first male star of the golden age, and Cary Grant was number two, which is also really cool. Um, just shows his talent and how long his legacy past even could go even past his death. So yeah, Cary Grant just continues to be a universally loved actor, which is why we're still talking about him today and watching his films. Yeah, so he's just really great. Thank you.